A couple of things. Quick reminder, the bundle sale and is still going on through the end of June. That's an additional 10% off stamp and die bundles through the end of the month. Also 10% off our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines, both the standard regular size machine or the large machine, and the two mini machines. One is in white and one is in boho blue. So it's a great time to do that. You might want to be like one of my customers, Denise, who had some bundles on her list, as well as the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And she decided to purchase a starter kit because it saved her a whole lot of money doing that. And the sale prices of things are in effect with the starter kit. So you save even more on what is already a great deal. I want to give a shout out to Judy Estrada, if she's watching, for sending me this beautiful card. You are so thoughtful and I'm so grateful. I appreciate you. And I also want to draw your attention to this card. Today, if you haven't seen any of my posts yet, today is Riley's first birthday. And I decided I won't see her today. She and her mom and dad are busy celebrating, and gosh, what are they doing? I don't even know. Going to Build-A-Bear. I guess when babies turn a year old, they can make a free bear. So they're going to do that. I think probably a quick walk or to the park. I don't know what else is happening over there. But anyways, I won't see her. But I thought, well, in celebration of Riley's birthday, I'm going to give a free project sheet to all of my followers. You can find that over on stampinpiece.com. It's a PDF for you to download and keep, file, whatever you like. And I should tell you about this card. This was actually part of a team challenge. I had 24 people on my team sign up. What I did was sent each person an envelope, and that envelope contained a 4x6 piece of DSP, a 2x6 piece of the in color glimmer paper, a white piece of cardstock punched with the heartfelt hexagon, a sampling of embellishments, and what else? A 12-inch piece of white baker's twine. And their challenge was to use at least a little bit of everything they received. And the kits were different. People received different DSPs and different embellishments and different glimmer paper. And it was really just a fun sharing experience. One where we can, maybe take away new card layouts, things like that. Maybe some new color combinations, new way of using a punched piece. And of course, if I'm doing the challenge, I need to do it as well, right? So this is what I came up with using the pieces in we're calling it the Bits and Pieces Creative Showcase, but what was in my kit. So they are busy making cards and posting them to our team Facebook group, and it's all good. It's been fun seeing what they create. Okay, today I'm going to do a short slimline card for you. Most of the slimline cards I've shown you have been finished size 8.5 by 3.5 inches. This one is 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to show you how to make it. I'll be using the Market Goodness stamp set, so I'll be talking a bit about two-step stamping. And then I'll show you how to make a custom DSP envelope for this short slimline card. So I'm ready to get started, and I bet you are ready to watch. I'm going to flip my camera around now, and while I do that, would you please share this live video and invite others to join us for some creative inspiration and a fun project. And you can even tag your friends right in the comments if that helps. Go ahead and comment if you are watching for the first time. And if you are, a big Stampin' piece welcome to you. Alrighty, need to put my glasses on. Let me move this just slightly. Alrighty. So first of all, I'm going to tell you where I got these measurements from. I have made some Slimline cash cards, which are a little bit different size than the standard Slimline card I make, and different than this one as well. But this card, I'm trying to get this just right for you. There we go. This is one of the cards in the, and I wrote it down. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Blossom Wishes kit in our online store, okay? The Blossom Wishes kit. And it's a $13 kit. There is no stamping in it. And you'll make 4 of these cards. You Matter, which is a great card to send somebody who's maybe feeling down, needs a little boost of confidence, maybe is hurting, feeling depressed, whatever it might be. And then you also make, in the same color scheme, 4 happy birthday cards. So it's a great fun kit, but this is what I use to get my standard measurements for the short Slimline card. And as you can see, the finished card measures 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches, which is what I will be showing you today. So you're going to start with a piece of cardstock. This is Pecan Pie, and it measures 6 1/2 inches by 6 1/4. And then putting this into, and I'll just do it to show you, with the 6 1/2 inch side across the top, I'm going to score in half. So half of 6 1/2 is 3 1/4 inches, and give that a nice score line. So then when I fold this card, the finished card is 3 1/4 by 6 1/4, okay? I'm going to put everything together except the stamped part. So I've got a piece of white for the inside that measures 3 inches by 6 inches. Pat, yes, this can go through the mail. Okay, it takes standard postage, 1 stamp. And by the way, I heard that postage is going up again. Not to be the bearer of bad news, because I still believe that mailing a card is one of the cheapest ways to brighten somebody's day or stay in touch with somebody. But I did hear that postage is going up, I believe July 1st. Early July, but I'm pretty sure it's the 1st. So I'm using a piece of the 2 Market Designer Series paper on the front, and it too measures the same size as the white side, 3 inches by 6 inches, okay? 3 inches by 6 inches. Julie, you said it well. It's a postage stamp is a small price to send a big hug. I love that. I got to remember that line. I got to remember that. Okay, so now let's do some stamping. I'm using the Market Goodness stamp set. I've got lots of stamps pulled out here, and we're going to do some 2-step stamping. Sometimes the 2-step stamping means we're stamping a solid and then some detail over it. Sometimes 2-step stamping means that there are 2 pieces, 2 separate things to stamp to make one whole image, okay? So we're going to be doing both. I'm going to get my cord out of the way a little bit here. I'm going to start with Pumpkin Pie. You know, I'm going to set these over here because I'm going to use some of these repeatedly. So pumpkin pie, and I'm going to stamp this bunch of carrots. Then I'm going to use garden green. I'll be using a lot of garden green for this. And now I'll stamp the top of the carrots. And you can see there's this little notch or opening at the top of the bunch of carrots. And that is because then the center stem of the green leafy part will fit right in there. Okay, Stampin' Up! Tries to make it easy to show us where to put things together. Then I'm going to, and I need to pull out my scrap paper, then I'm going to stamp the lettuce. So one stamp is more of a solid image, and the other provides some fine detail. So I'm going to stamp or ink up the solid image first, and I'm going to stamp off, and then stamp onto my cardstock. I stamped off so that I got a lighter shade of the garden green. And then I'm going to add the detail at full strength garden green. Okay. And because I'm not looking right over the top of that, because then you would see the top of my head and all my gray hairs, and I think I did a pretty good job looking at that from a little bit different angle than I usually do. And then let's stamp some tomatoes. So the tomatoes have this stem and leafy part, and then the red ripe tomatoes. So one thing I want to point out here, if you are not sure what direction a stamp goes when you go to stamp it, look at the cover of your stamp case. It will tell you. I first was trying to match this up with my tomatoes, and I thought, well, it's not working. What am I doing wrong? And then when I looked at this, I realized, oh, I need that single one at the top with the two stems coming down. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to mention here is you can try this out on scrap paper. Is it easier for you to stamp the green and then match the red tomatoes to it, or red tomatoes and then fit the green into it? I do it both ways, and usually they both come out pretty good. But go ahead and try them out and see if you prefer one more than the other. And that might even vary from one stamp set to another. Okay, so stamp my tomatoes now. So you can see there's all these white starlight shapes. That means my tomatoes are going to fit right in there. And I just play around with it a little bit until I feel like I've got it matched up. Just take your time. Voila. And I promise you, you can do it too, okay? You can do it too. I will never show you anything that I don't think you all can do. So sometimes two-step stamping takes a little practice, and that is okay. Just grab some scraps and give it a try. And then when you're a little more comfortable, you just dive right in and start stamping on your cardstock. And I'm going to do this red onion. Do you call it purple onion or red onion? I don't know why it's called red onion if it's purple, but so be it. And then there's this tiny little stamp for the top. Now, I could do the tiny little block like this, but I'm using this one. If you have this, this is a nice way. It's retired now. These two smallest ones are retired. But a lot of times I use this one and just put that stamp on the very tip or end of the block, and then I just tap into the corner of my ink pad. And once again, match that up. And then I'm going to stamp some more carrots. You could overlap your vegetables if you want, but but I don't want to. I feel like I'm almost stamping some of my own DSP, which is kind of fun. And then the little radish, which I think of radishes as more pink. Are they called purple onions, Kathy? I know they're purple, but we always refer to them as red onions. Okay, now for this little radish, I want it to be lighter. So I'm going to stamp off. I think it's a radish. And here's the topper that has a big leafy topper. And then I'm going to do the lettuce again. So I'm going to stamp with the solid image first and stamp off. And then I'm going to stamp onto my cardstock. So you can see I've got the lighter shade. That's why I stamp off, to get a lighter shade. And then I'm going to use the detailed stamp that coordinates with it and ink it up and just use it at full strength ink. And I'll do one more red onion. Okay. So I'm not crazy. You all refer, but your Publix calls them purple onions. Crazy. I guess it doesn't matter as long as we know what we're eating, right? And I need my little green topper. Okay. So this is what I have now. I'm going to be using this on the front of my card, and I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals because that's what I like to do. How many of you pretty much use dimensionals on everything you make? And this I'm putting on more dimensionals than I usually would because it's a fairly large area that I want popped up. Margaret, I agree. Let's just call them onions. Pick your color. Oh, lots of dimensional lovers. Yes. Andrea was over here yesterday. John and Andrea are having a birthday party for Riley on Saturday. And Andrea came over yesterday and was making some things with the Cricut. And she asked for different colors of cardstock. And then she walked over and she said, believe it or not, you probably thought you would never hear me say this, but can I use some of your dimensionals? And I just kind of laughed. But it's a fun thing. Okay, I'm going to finish this off with a sentiment, and I'm using, what does it say here? Bursting with happiness. Bursting with happiness. And I'm going to stamp with pecan pie ink on a 1/2-inch strip of pecan pie cardstock. That way it's clearly visible, but it's not really overpowering the stamped vegetables. And then I bet most of you know my trick here is I'm going to cut an angle, and to make sure that the angle on the other side is cut the same, I just flip this piece around, match up the top and bottom, and then I'm going to put the blade of my paper snips right along that angled edge and snip once again. Super easy, no fail method. And I'll add a couple dimensionals to this. Stick around to the end because I will give you a code word or phrase that you can type in the comments if you want to have your name put into the drawing to receive this card along with the custom DSP envelope. And before I go any further, I'm going to close up all these ink pads. And make sure that all of my inky stamps are pushed out of the way. Okay. I'm going to finish this off with a double bow of linen thread. Okay, anybody else love linen thread? This is like a staple. I always, just like my dimensionals, I always have to have several packs of dimensionals or I panic. Same thing with the linen thread. You can use it on just about anything. Something shabby chic, something modern, something country, whatever. It seems to work with everything, so I like to keep it on hand. To put this on, you can either roll up a glue dot or, whoops, a little bubble there. Put a dot of the multi-purpose glue, and I'm just going to put this block right here to give that a moment to dry and hold it in place. And while that's happening, I'm going to add some of these bright green, what are they called? Transparent adhesive back dots. Now, it's not an exact match, but that's okay. When I put this on, you're going to be like, oh, wow, that really works, Mary. But the brightness of it is really just so nice. Whoops. So my goodness. So I did a large and 2 small. And now I'm finished with making that card. So let me put these aside. And then we'll get started making the custom envelope. So this is my finished short, I call it the short slimline card, measuring 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches. I'm going to put this to the side now, and I've made myself this little template or cheat sheet. I will try to get Andrea to do a template for me, but chances are I'm just going to take a picture of this and put this in the blog post because she's really busy right now getting ready for the birthday party. The in-laws are spending the night at John and Andrea's, and yeah, she's got plenty going on. So at another time, I'll ask her to make the official template. You know what that looks like, right? She always does a really good job. So to start off, I'm going to use this. I think that will look nicely with this card. Okay. I'm going to start by cutting this to 8 3/4 inches by 8 1/4. Okay. So 8 3/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Okay. Then on the long side, so, you know, double check yourself because, excuse me, double check yourself because the measurements are very close, 8 3/4 by 8 1/4. With the 8 3/4 inch side along the top, I want to score at 3/4 of an inch and 7 1/2 inches. And I could tell you 3/4 of an inch, flip it to 1 3/4 inches, but sometimes that gets confusing. So I think it's easier just to tell you the measurements with the paper going in the same direction, okay? So I did 3/4 of an inch score line, and then I did 7 1/2 inch score line. Now I'm going to turn it so that the 3/4 inch score line is at the bottom and 1 3/4 at the top, okay? Bottom and top. Then I'm going to score at 2.5 inches and 6 1/4 inches. And that's all the score lines I need. So I'm lining up my DSP just like I have my template. The narrow end and the wider end, and then a little bit bigger section at the top and smaller at the bottom. And now I need to cut away the 4 corners. And I like to go just outside the score lines and cut them at an angle. I find that when you fold everything together, you get much cleaner folds and you don't get any bulkiness on your envelopes. Now, if you're not comfortable just, eyeing it, you can draw little lines just like I did on the template. You can put some pencil lines on your DSP, but, trust yourself. You just go outside the score line a tiny bit and then point the tip of your paper snips to the intersection of the 2 score lines. Okay, throw those away. And then again, I always like to turn my DSP to the same direction as my template is showing, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is just fold on all these score lines. So this is the inside. The flower is my inside, okay? Whatever you want the outside of your envelope to be is the way you should be lining up the paper with your template, okay? So think of this as the front of your DSP or the front of your envelope, outside of your envelope. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to show you first how it's going to come together. There are how do I say it? This flap is smaller than this flap, okay? This flap is smaller than its opposite. This top flap is smaller than its opposite. I want to put adhesive on those 2 small flaps, okay? So, or the left flap and the top flap. But keep in mind that it's the smaller than the opposite, smaller than the opposite. And I'm going to fold this largest flap over, and then I'm going to fold the opposite one with the adhesive on it. And then I'm going to take this left flap and fold it. And isn't that a nice professional looking completed envelope? Now you're probably wondering, okay, Mary, you're going to put your card in there, but what are we going to do to seal this? Put Scotch tape? Yeah, you could do that, but here's something better. And I like this better because then there's no adhesive showing on the outside. So I just take some of our tear and tape. Tear and tape is also very good to use with 3-dimensional projects. But now I can leave that on there and have it ready for when I'm ready to mail the card. The card slips in, I would pull off the adhesive backing and seal it. Another question you might have is, how are we going to read the writing here, Mary? Well, what I typically do is either cut a little piece of white cardstock, or sometimes I have, I've got white mailing labels that I use, and I stick it on there and address my envelope. Works fine. Okay. So there's that. Let me show you the other one I did. And this was a hard choice for me because I really like the tomato side, and I have relatives that farm and grow lots of tomatoes. So I wanted that on the outside, but I felt like it was super, super busy. But it probably still would have worked out fine just putting a white label on. But I went with the green and made that envelope. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think? Again, this size card, 3 1/4 by 6 1/4, can be mailed with 1 postage stamp. I will have all the dimensions for this card as well as the custom made envelope on my blog. I probably won't have it on tonight, sometime tomorrow. Tonight, if you haven't seen the message, or if you don't get my newsletter that went out today, tonight is the Craft and Chat, the free Craft and Chat Zoom night. The link for the Zoom is here on Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe. You can also find it in today's post on stampinpiece.com. All you have to do is click on that link about 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will be there, and hopefully many others. It's a way for us to gather. We can't gather in person, but we can gather virtually, and it's a lot of fun. We just chat about anything. Everybody brings their own craft or whatever they want to work on. And so sometimes we talk about the projects that we're doing. You can ask me anything about Stampin' Up, anything you want. And it lasts for an hour and a half. So it's 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, okay, Eastern Time. And hope to see many of you there. But anyways, because of that, the blog post, or this blog post, will probably not make it to stampinpiece.com until sometime tomorrow. Alrighty? And in addition to the dimensions for the card, I'll also take a picture of my template, and I've got the directions exactly like I went through with you. So you'll have that to refer to as well. All right, if you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive this card and custom envelope, please type in the comments now, happiness. Okay, happiness. That comes from our Bursting with Happiness sentiments. Again, everything, all the stamps used were from, or are from, the Market Goodness stamp set. If you haven't done two-step stamping or haven't done it in a while, I hope you found this video helpful in showing you how to do that. Alrighty, everybody, have a great evening. I hope you will join me for the free Craft and Chat night. Go to one of today's posts here on Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe, or today's post on stampinpiece.com, and you will find the link. Just click that link and you should be good to go. And I'll look forward to seeing you then. Have a great evening, everyone. I will be back for another Facebook Live on Thursday, June 20th. That's the first official day of summer, the summer solstice. But another Facebook Live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. Take care. Happy stamping.